Hey guys, Brainfreeze Laser here again with another Return of the Duelist in-depth card review. Now, the cards we're going to be looking at today are basically, I'm going to say it here, I don't know if anybody else has said it yet, but these cards are going to basically mold what the meta will become. And I say this with complete and utter full confidence in myself, in that I'm essentially predicting where the meta is going to go at least to the best of my ability, and you know, from just a very educated guess, and seeing what's being played in Japan, and seeing how these cards just, you know, affected Japan and how crazy these cards are in Japan. So what I'm talking about is Atlantean Attack Squad and Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord. Now, maybe not so much Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord in Japan, but be very sure that if you have him now, hold on to him because he's going to get better. Atlantean attack squads are just a powerhouse on their own, and will get even more powerful when the Atlantean structure deck comes out. So just be ready for that. You know, those are coming. Those cards are coming. Everybody's going to play them. You know, Atlantean attack squad is a common, so he's not really so much, you know, a big deal to really try to get. But if you have him, just hold on to him now. Grandsoil, though. Grandsoil, if you don't have them yet, get 3. Just get 3 now while they're cheap. You know, I don't know how much they're going for, but I'm assuming it has to already be in the $20 to $30 range since he's a secret rare. But he will be played in trips. Just trust me. He's going to be played in trips, maybe doubles. I could see people playing doubles of him. But essentially, you're just going to want to get him. So I'm going to talk about Atlantean Attack Squad first before I go into Grandsoil. But Grandsoil may get a part 2 video just because that's how versatile he is. But essentially, here we go. So Attack Squad, Atlantean Attack Squad is part of the Atlantean archetype. And essentially, they're just water monsters. There's a bunch of water monsters. I'm not exactly sure how the Atlantean archetype works, but it seems like they all work with sea serpents, fish, and aqua type monsters. So, and they're all those types of monsters. And there's a lot of support for those types of monsters already. I'm not really going to go into crazy in-depth, you know, all that, but you know, a couple of those are maybe Moray of Greed or Surface or Salvage, or you know, cards like that. You know, Fish Depth Charge, just different cards that support different fish, sea serpent, and aqua type creatures. Now, what does Atlantean Attack Squad do? Well, his base stats are: he's a level 3, he's a water monster, and he's a sea serpent. He's a 1400 attack, 0 defense monster. Now, that doesn't sound too impressive, but when you partner him with another sea serpent, fish, or aqua type monster, let's just say, you know, if you have out already, let's say you bring him out with Spine Gillman on the board. So now he goes up to, his effect states that if he's on the board with another face-up fish, aqua type, or sea serpent type creature, then he gets an additional 800 attack. 14 plus 8 is 22. That's a 2200 3-star beater. Just for free. You know, like, it is situational. You have to already be playing those types of monsters, but if you're playing Atlanteans, you are playing those types of monsters. And there are other Atlantean support cards that I'm not really going to cover because they're not out yet. And, you know, there's a little bit better options, you know, for some of their cards, but essentially, if you have another fish, sea serpent, or aqua type monster on the board, while he's face up on the board, you got a 22 beater. Now, that's pretty impressive. And what makes it more impressive, and this is what makes him a crazy powerhouse, is that you can bring him out with Deep Sea Diva. So you could bring out a 2200 beater, essentially first turn, if you have Deep Sea Diva. So you just summon your Deep Sea Diva, special summon Atlantean Attack Squad, and you have a 2200 beater right off the bat. And that's just ridiculous. That's crazy. So when he comes in, if you normal summon him, he gets under Bottomless Trap Hole, and then you special summon another, you know, sea serpent, aqua, or water type or sea serpent, aqua, or fish type monster, and he goes up to 22. You know, and effectively you just dodged removal for him. But the point is that what's crazy is he partners really well with Diva, giving you a total of 2400 attack right off the bat. That's a lot of damage just to take without having really brought out a big beater. So you bring out Diva, special summon Atlantean Attack Force, you get 2400 attack, get your hit in, be safe, clear that backfield, whatever. And then it gives you the option of synchroing into a level 5 synchro monster after that. Or if you want to get, even crazier than that, you could, normal summon next turn a Spine Gilman, giving both creatures an additional 400 attack boost. So there's a lot of options in this deck, and I think it's going to be pretty powerful. Now let's go on to Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord. Now the Elemental Lord surname, I guess you could say, is something that's shared not with just Grandsoil, but another monster that's out in Japan called Mulan Glace, and he's essentially the water version of Grandsoil. Now that's another reason that you will be seeing Atlantean Attack Squad and other Atlantean monsters. Mulan Glace is the water version of Grandsoil. Yeah, the same summoning stipulation, and he's very powerful. So, and the card I'm going to be showing you is going to be the Japanese version because he's not out yet in America, but he's coming in Abyss Rising. So, just be ready for a very different meta than you're used to. There's a lot of really powerful archetypes in Return of the Duelist, and I think that this is basically the new player's Legacy of Darkness. Essentially, Legacy of Darkness was one of the game-breakingest sets in Yu-Gi-Oh! It just had so many options in it, and then Invasion of Chaos. Invasion of Chaos and Dark Crisis came out, and those brought us basically the rest of the Chaos monsters and all that. But Legacy of Darkness has the most banned cards in its set. It has a lot of the eroded cards in its set. It's a really powerful set. So this reminds me of Legacy of Darkness. Legacy of Darkness is one of my favorite sets in Yu-Gi-Oh! Next to Invasion of Chaos and Dark Crisis. But essentially, Abyss Rising will bring you the second Elemental Lord, which is Mulan Glace. But we're talking about Grandsoil right now. Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord. So what's so special about this guy? Well, for starters, he's a 2800 monster and 2200 defense. So he's not, just some small little chump. The second crazy thing about him is that he's 8 stars. So if you want to make an 8-star Exceed, you have him and then another monster on the board. You can play Queen's Light, as I talked about in another video, and make your 8-star Exceed. But what's really crazy about this guy is that if you have exactly 5 Earth monsters in your graveyard, you get to special summon him out for free. That sounds a lot like Dark Armed Dragon, but what they did was they made it a little bit more balanced Dark Armed Dragon, in that you can only special summon him this way. It states so in his effect. So if he dies, that's it. He's not coming back. You have to bring out another one. And what his effect does is, when he comes to the board, you can special summon a monster from either player's graveyard. No drawback. He's essentially a monster reborn on a monster. So this makes me wonder if in the next ban list by March, if we're going to see Monster Reborn be banned again. If Monster Reborn will be gone again. He does have a drawback to him. If he dies or if he leaves the field in any way, you lose your next battle phase. So let's say it's your turn now. You attack, your opponent bounces it back to your hand, or whatever. You don't get to have a battle phase next turn. Now that's not really that bad of a drawback, actually. Yeah, you don't get to hurt your opponent by battle. If you have an effect that hurts them, you can still do that. But essentially, I don't really see how that's a really, really bad thing. I'm gonna assume that people are gonna start playing those compulsory devices, the compulsory escapes and the compulsory evacuations, and they're just gonna try sending things back into the deck and back into your hand like crazy when these guys come out, because they're just big fat threats. And with an effect like Monster Reborn built into a monster, that's just even crazier. You're plussing off of this monster. You lose him from your hand, but he comes to the board, and then you get to reborn another monster either in your graveyard or in your opponent's graveyard. So if they had brought out an Exceed that doesn't really need materials, or they had brought out a really big, a fatty of their own, that's crazy. It's just like it sets you up for basically the finishing blow. Now, I mentioned Mulan Glace. Mulan Glace, I'm going to show you, has the Japanese text and everything on it still, but essentially he has the same summoning condition as Grandsoil. You need to have 5 water monsters in the graveyard. Exactly 5, no more, no less. You can have other types, like you have fire, earth, whatever, like Dad. If you had a Stratos in the graveyard and then whatever. But you're most likely going to be playing this monster in an Atlantean deck. Now, that's why I was saying that you will be seeing Atlantean Attack Squad and you will be seeing Grandsoil, because guess what? Heroics are Earth. Yugiohs are Earth. Gadgets are Earth. Those are a lot of Earth monsters that support these cards. And Atlanteans are water monsters. And I'm assuming, you could probably build a Absolute Zero, a similar deck to that, but now it's even more powerful because now you have Mulan Glace. What Mulan Glace does is when he's special summoned, by his effect, you can randomly discard 2 cards from your opponent's hands. He's essentially giving you a +2. So what you're going to do is bring him out. You never lost anything. Use his effect on your opponent. Your opponent loses 2 cards. If they use another card to try to get rid of him off the board, they're still minusing 2 because they wasted their removal on him. You still have him somehow, and even if you lose him, they still lost 3 cards, so you're 1 card. So they're going to -2 off of this card. What makes them balanced is that they're random. So there's a possibility that you're not going to hit what you wanted to hit. But if your opponent only has 2 cards in their hand, game's over, essentially, unless they have like some crazy field support, backfield support. But essentially, that's the reason you're going to be seeing water types and earth types being played in this meta. This meta right now, what we have. All those other decks are going to basically take a back burner to these new archetypes. People are going to try to play these things. I hear a lot of people talking about Dark World's going to be the next thing. X-Saber's going to be the next thing. Maybe Black Wings are going to come back. Maybe plants. Plants are earth. Most of the time, plants are earth. So you will see Grandsoil in some way, shape, or form. X-Sabers are earth. Most of them are earth. So it's just like, all the big decks that you're probably going to see minus heroes, and a lot of the heroes are earth too. But save heroes and Dark World, essentially, you're gonna see Grandsoil. Grandsoil is coming. Grandsoil is you're gonna see this guy a lot. An Atlantean attack force, you might not see him as often, but you will see the Atlantean archetype. Water monsters and earth monsters are gonna just dominate this meta, and just be prepared for that. Just be ready to go get some Grandsoils now, because they're going to be cheap as compared to what they're going to be soon. So essentially, I guess what I want you guys to do is tell me in the comment section below what you think of these 2 new powerhouses. A 22 level 3 that's easy to bring out. And Grandsoil is basically the new dad until Mulan Glace comes out. When Mulan Glace comes out, there will be 2 dads of 2 different archetypes and attributes, water and earth. 2 dads, essentially. That's never been done in Yu-Gi before. I mean, essentially, these are the new monarchs, but these are monarchs on steroids. So, what do you guys think about these new cards? Are they powerful? Are you going to ignore them and just, play what you want to play? Or, is this essentially where the meta is going to go? So just tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm going to be posting my Twitter in the description bar. And as always, you can subscribe here on YouTube. And thanks for watching.